When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
Hello, good evening. How's it all going? I hope you can all hear me this time. Yes, Sunday the 11th of October. Where has this month gone or two already? Another beautiful one down here on the South Down Riviera. Warren Point, County Down. We're coming to you live tonight from the Harbourside Studios, as you can see behind me, flying, my giant flying head, flying through the skies of Warren Point. Anyway, tonight, Big Nerd Pub Quiz, as always, 8 rounds, 6 questions each to test your general knowledge, get your weekly trivia fix. Hope you're all having a good one. This is your first time, this is it, this is how you play. Very, very, very simple. All you have to do is open up the Google answer sheet, which is in the description of the video that you're watching, either on Facebook or YouTube. Pop in your email address, answer the multiple choice questions as I asked them. 8 rounds, 6 questions each, only 1 correct answer per question. Once the quiz is finished, all you have to do is hit submit. You'll get your scores, but do stick about for your answers. Recommended that you stream the quiz on a laptop and play on your phone. And all that remains for me to say is good luck. If you want to advertise with Harbourside Radio, this is the new radio station that I'm broadcasting from. Give us an email at harboursideradio.com. You could be getting your ad shown amongst these fantastic programs. Big O's morning show every weekday from 10. We've got Ian Sands, founder of the Warren Point Blues Festival with the Blues on the Bay show every Thursday at 8. We've got electro dance music every Friday. It's pretty cool. It's from Kevin Mack. We've got The Rock Show with Amy. This week's an 80s theme. And a shameless plug for my own program. If you want to listen to the breakdown of samples of hip-hop legends, Tribe Called Quest, do tune in Wednesday, 7:30 for my show, Sampled. And check out all the shows that we've done out on SoundCloud, including my amazing, if I do say so myself, Daft Punk show. So do check that out. But yes, we're just keeping it ticking along here. Also, I am available to hire for Christmas parties. Calendars are already booking up, so if you and your office are looking for a socially distanced quiz hosted by myself and tailored for you, by all means get in touch with me via all the different social media channels here on the left there. We've got I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. But yeah, I'm doing quite a lot of charity quizzes over the next couple of weeks. And yes, if we do go back into lockdown, you know where to get me. Anyway, let's fire off tonight. Let's get going with tonight's quiz. Like I said before, 8 rounds, 6 questions each. Here's your first one. A show all about current events. So this is going to test you on how well you've been reading the newspapers and the news over the last couple of weeks. So here we go. Well, nothing to stop us now. Here we go. Round 1, question number 1. Best of luck out there. Let's have a look at it. And a very easy one, I think, to start off with. Round 1, question 1. Which comedy character is set to return in delivery of prodigious bride to American regime for make benefit of one glorious nation of Kazakhstan? I don't think I need to give you any clues about who that might be. Probably not Mr. Bean. I can tell you that. But yes, been announced this week. He's back. Or like I said, he's definitely recognized these days. But which comedy character is set to return in delivery of prodigious bride to American regime for make benefit of once glorious nation, Kazakhstan? It's round 1, question number 1. Alright, let's move on. Round 1, question 2. Turn the music down a wee bit. Oh yeah, keep it in the background. So round 1, question 2. Which Michael Jackson track did the late guitarist Eddie Van Halen perform the solo on? It's round 1, question 2. Yes, rock fans around the world mourning the death and the passing of Edward Van Halen, one of the greatest rock guitarists of all time, hands down. Biggest hit was actually the 1983 track Jump. It was their biggest hit. They've sold over 80, although it's their only number 1, even though they sold over 80 million records. But yes, round 1, question 2. Which Michael Jackson track did the late guitarist Eddie Van Halen perform the solo on? Ironically, he never actually got any royalties. It took him 20 minutes to record it and didn't get any royalties. And he helped kind of arrange the song as well. Just went in, did it. That was it. It's round 1, question 2. Round 1, question 3. Another topical one, but which organization was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for 2020? It's round 1, question 3. Not the first time that an organization has been nominated for such a prize. In 2012, the European Union was awarded it for bringing peace and prosperity to the continent. Round 1, question 3. Which organization was awarded this year's Nobel Peace Prize? It's round 1, question 3. Round 1, question number 4. Who is the current Labour mayor of Manchester who is railing against government cuts? So this round 1, question 4. This guy would have been considered to be big shot in the Labour Party, possible leader contender back in 2015, I believe, 2016. But yes, round 1, question 4. Who is the current Labour mayor of Manchester who is railing against government cuts to that region? Round 1, question number 4. Bit of a politics one there. Round 1, question 5. So which great British Bake Off host was granted a damehood in the Queen's honours list? I'm not sure. The Queen gives them out every New Year's and her birthday. I think she's given out just another round just for the crack. But yes, round 1, question 5. Which great British Bake Off host was granted a damehood this week in the Queen's honours list? That's round 1, question 5. I'm gonna casually drop in there. My mum has one. Not a damehood, but she has an MBE. Just throwing that out there. You don't get anything at the palace, I can tell you that. They give you nothing. Anyway, round 1, question 6. Final one, another music one. But what's the name of Queen's new album that reached the top of the charts this week? It was the first number 1 album since 1995. That's round 1, question 6. One Queen to another. Queen and Adam Lambert, Brian May, and Roger Taylor. It's basically just Brian May and Roger Taylor now. But yes, round 1, question 6. What's the name of Queen's new album that reached the top of the charts this week with their first number 1 since 1995? 25 years gap between number 1 albums there. And there is your roundup there of general knowledge questions this week. So round 1, question 1. Which comedy character is set to return in the delivery of prodigious bride to American regime for the make benefit of once glorious nation's Kazakhstan? 2. Which Michael Jackson track did the late guitarist Eddie Van Halen perform the solo on? 3, which organisation was awarded the Nobel Prize this week for peace? 4, who's the current Labour Mayor of Manchester? 4, which Bake Off host received a damehood this week? And what's the name of Queen's new album to reach the top of the charts? First number 1 since 1995. Alright, 1 down, 7 to go. Hope you're all having a fantastic weekend. Let me know what you got up to in the comments. Follow us all on all the different social media channels here. Harbourside Radio. Although Harbourside Radio was too long for Twitter, so we had to settle for Harbourside Rad, which makes us sound like a 90s surf board company. But anyway, so yes, don't forget, we're on all the different social media channels. Do give us a listen, do give us a follow. We've got some loads and loads of fantastic shows coming up, and we've got some fantastic ideas coming your way, which I'll let you know about later on in the show. So yes, it's 1 down. Let's go on to round 2, and it's a music round. This week's music round is going to be all about famous record labels. So here we go. Round 2, question number 1. Motown Records was founded in which American city? Round 2, question 1. Got a little bit depressed writing this question, actually, because I was meant to see Diana Ross this summer, and I got tickets for my mum, and we were going to go see her at the O2. And sadly, that didn't happen. Along with Chicago Cubs game I was meant to go see in London as well. That got cancelled. Pearl Jam, meant to go see Eddie Vedder. That also got cancelled. Yes, not a great year for the old gigs. But anyway, round 2, question 1. Motown Records was founded in which American city? I think the clue is in the name there. Round 2, question 2. Which record label signed the Beatles after they were passed up by Decca? After their CEO said that guitar bands were on the way out. Bet he was kicking himself about that. But round 2, question 2. Which record label signed the Beatles after they were passed up by Decca when their CEO said that guitar bands were on the way out? Yeah, bet he regretted that decision. It's round 2, question 2. But if they didn't take them on, the Beatles wouldn't have met George Martin. If George Martin wouldn't help them define their sound, they wouldn't have been recording in Abbey Road. But yes, round 2, question 2. Round 2, question 3. What was the name of the record label founded by Led Zeppelin in 1974? Their first release on that label was Physical Graffiti. Round 2, question 3. So yeah, set up by their manager Peter Grant. You'll recognize the logo, the Icarus logo. If you're a Zeppelin fan, you open up the records, you can see it. But yes, round 2, question 3. What's the name of the record label founded by Led Zeppelin? Their first release on that label was Physical Graffiti in 1974. Round 2, question 4. Which record company was the first to sign Elvis Presley all the way back in the 50s? I think it was 1953, 1954, roundabouts. Round 2, question 4. Elvis Aaron Presley, studio in Memphis, Tennessee. But yes, which record company was the very first to sign Elvis Presley in the 1950s? Famously, Colonel Tom Parker, who managed Elvis, actually wouldn't let him go to the UK, and Elvis actually only visited Glasgow once on his way back from military service in Germany. I think Colonel Tom Parker was so paranoid about him getting snapped up by another label, so Elvis never actually ever toured or played a gig in London. It's amazing to think, he was so big. Like. Round 2, question 5. Founded in Croydon in 1968, which record label was instrumental in introducing reggae to a wider audience, with artists such as Desmond Decker, the Maytals, and Lee Scratch Perry pictured there on their roster? Round 2, question 5. In fact, the label, much like the Motown sound, again, the label has lent itself to that particular sound of music. Round 2, question 5. Yeah, I love a bit of reggae myself. But yes, founded in Croydon. 1968, which record label was instrumental in introducing reggae to a wider audience with artists such as Desmond Decker, the Maytals, and Lee Scratch Perry? And final music question, all about music labels. Tony Wilson founded which Manchester-based record label in 1979, which went on to sign bands such as Joy Division, New Order, and the Happy Mondays, pictured there. Bez, Sean Ryder. If you haven't seen it, do check out the movie 24 Hour Party People, starring Steve Coogan as Tony Wilson. Fantastic kind of biog about that scene, the Manchester scene of the 80s and 90s. Brilliant movie. Got loads of great cameos in it. Chris Eccleston, Peter Kay, Paddy Considine. Also went on to found the Hacienda Club as well. Fact 51. Might have given you a clue there. Anyway, that's round 6. Tony Wilson founded which Manchester-based record label in 79, which went on to sign Joy Division, New Order, and the Happy Mondays. Another great band from them from that era, Rudy Column. If you like your kind of ethereal style guitar, do check them out. Alright, there's your roundup of music questions. Go through them one more time quickly. Motown founded in which city? 2. Which record label signed the Beatles? 3. What's the name of the record label founded by Led Zeppelin in 74? 4. Which record company was the first to sign Elvis Presley? 5. What was the name of the record label which was instrumental spreading reggae, founded in Croydon in 68? And 6, the name of Tony Wilson's record label, founded in Manchester in 79. All you music heads out there will absolutely love those questions, yeah. But yes, I thought, I was going to go for a picture round, but then I know we're also streaming on radio as well, so we kind of want to keep it not as visual as we can. But anyway, it all has to be oral and audio style. But yes, now on Harbourside Radio, this is the 4th week doing the quiz on Harbourside, and I have to say it's an absolute pleasure. We've got some really exciting things coming up, not only on the station, but coming from their studios as well, including a fantastic idea about bringing live music back to pubs without actually having to go to the pubs. But yes, and if, like I said before, if you're interested in hiring the Big Nerd Pub Quiz, by all means, do get in touch. It's bignerdpubquiz@gmail.com. Do drop us a line. Anyway, moving on to the next round. Round 3 is all about TV shows. And we're specialising this week. It's TV comedies, both American and British, mostly British anyway. But here we go, round 3, question number 1. Big shout out to Ryan because he inspired me to write this one. But in which borough of London is the TV comedy series Bottom set in? I actually used to work in an office right opposite the bench where this photograph is taken. And it is a bench in the middle of a traffic island. And people do leave little memorials to the late, great Rick Mayall there. And ironically enough, in the shot, when you see the credits of the show and it zooms out, you can see the big building which is over the tube station there getting built. And my office was actually in that building. It's remarkable seeing it and the area around it. It's actually a lot more gentrified. But yes, round 3, question 1. In which borough of London is the TV comedy series Bottom set in? And imagine my surprise when I saw Ed Edmondson in The Last Jedi. It's amazing. Anyway, round 3, question 2. What's the name of Bill Bailey's character in the Channel 4 sitcom Black Books? Another little factoid there. If you're looking for the actual Black Book shop, it is in Bloomsbury. It's very near the Brunswick Centre. If you get off at Russell Square tube station and wander about, you will actually see it. And yes, it is a bookshop, believe it or not. And you do get people outside it taking photographs. I didn't go in. I didn't want to be one of those guys. I didn't want to go in and not have to pay for a book. But round 3, question 4. What's the name of Bill Bailey's character in the Channel 4 sitcom Black Books? Round 3, question 3. Who played the cat in TV sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf? Yes, the BBC comedy started all the way back in 1988. There was actually an American attempt to make it. And one of the Crichton was the only original character from that actually to go out to the States to be in it. Interestingly, Terry Farrell from Star Trek Deep Space Nine's in it. And the pilot never made it anywhere because it was just terrible. They couldn't make the character. The whole point of the character of Lister is meant to be so unlikable, but they couldn't. The Americans couldn't make the character like that. But yes, we're on to question 3. Who played the cat in TV sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf? You get to see, if you go to comic book conventions in the UK, these guys turn up all the time. Really, really signed. Round 3, question 4. What is the name of Alan Partridge's autobiography that ends up getting pulped at the end of the 2nd season of I'm Alan Partridge? That's round 3, question 4. I don't know, I haven't actually got around to listening to the new Alan Partridge podcast. Massive Partridge fan. Big shout out to Raffo, who's also a big Partridge fan. We discuss him on quite a regular basis. But what's the name of Alan Partridge's autobiography that ends up being pulped at the end of the 2nd season of I'm Alan Partridge? Round 3, question 5. Who wrote the acclaimed political comedy The Thick of It, starring Peter Capaldi as the sweary Malcolm Tucker? It must be remarkable for young Doctor Who fans who actually discovering that this exists, and Doctor Who really knows how to drop an F-bomb. But round 3, question 5. Also went on to write the acclaimed comedy Veep, starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and was part of directed the Death of Stalin. If you haven't seen that, instrumental in the day-to-day. Brass Eye with Chris Morris, and a co-creator and writer of Alan Partridge as well. Yeah, one of the big British comedy heavyweights. But who wrote the acclaimed political comedy The Thick of It? And speaking of Julia Louis-Dreyfus, there she is. Round 3, question 6. What's the name of the diner? It features prominently in the American sitcom Seinfeld. I am forever championing the comedy Seinfeld to people. Even today, I was having brunch with my two friends. I was like, you've got to watch Seinfeld. If you haven't, if you love Curb Your Enthusiasm, of course, it was written by Larry David, who got married this week. And that clip you're seeing there, the scene you're seeing there, is from the most famous episode of The Contest. I won't tell you what it's about. Probably one of the greatest episodes of American comedy ever written. But what's the name of the diner which features prominently in the American sitcom Seinfeld? And I'm looking for its fictitious name, not the actual name of the location in New York. Round 3, question 6. And there's your roundup there of comedy questions. So, number 1, name the borough in which the TV series Bottom is set in. 2, the name of Bill Bailey's character in Black Books. 3, who played the cat in the TV sci-fi comedy Red Dwarf? 4, what is the name of Alan Partridge's autobiography that ends up being pulped in the 2nd season of Alan Partridge? 5, who wrote the acclaimed political comedy The Thick of It, starring Peter Capaldi? And number 6, what's the name of the diner which features prominently in the American sitcom Seinfeld? Actually got to see Seinfeld last year at the Hammersmith Apollo, and it was pretty wicked. It was exactly what you'd expect from a Seinfeld set, but the actual set itself is now up online on Netflix, which you can watch at any time, really. So it's really, really good. It's basically the same set, even though he's doing it in America. But yeah, really, really good to see Seinfeld back on the comedy stage again. And he's also published a book this week, which goes through his entire comedy notes, ever from the 80s all the way up to now. He kept them all on a notepad, and he's published them. So I'm definitely keen to buy that and get into his mind of comedy genius. Anyway, time now is 24 minutes past 8. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, like and subscribe to all the different social media channels. And if you like in the quiz, you can replay any of the quizzes that I've done before. If you're into Harry Potter, if there's a Harry Potter quiz, there's a Star Wars quiz, a Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, football, you name it, we've done it. You know, horror movie quiz. Actually, that's a big shout out to the guys at Banterflix, who are hosting the Dark Hedges Horror Festival. Completely different. But they've got me to do a horror movie quiz, another horror movie quiz for them. I'm really looking forward to around the Halloween time, so very, very appropriate. Anyway, moving on to the next round. It's history and politics. No special themes about this, just random history and politics questions, which I was just plucking out of the thin air as I was writing it this afternoon. Anyway, here we go. Round 4, question number 1. Who is the current Prime Minister of Australia? Pretty tough one if you don't really know your politics. I didn't know it either, I just had to look it up. But I thought, you know what? I have to say, big up to my buddy Jez from New Zealand. And you know what? You look at New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, that's leadership. That is not getting political, but that, you know, that's a prime minister. Like, you know, big up Jacinda. Anyway, round 4, question 1. Who is the current Prime Minister of Australia? Round 4, question 2. The Atheling is the name of the Parliament of which country? Round 4, question 2. I do a very, very nerdy thing where when I'm on holiday, I will go and visit the Parliament of the said country. It's totally geeky, but you know what? The tours are always free. Always guided in your own language. They will always do an English language tour. I've visited the Japanese Parliament, the Bundestag in Germany. I've visited the Christiansborg in Denmark. I've also been to the Houses of Parliament a couple of times. I have a couple of friends working there. Never actually done the Dáil. Big up anyone who works in the south in the civil service. Get me into the Dáil. I actually want to check it out. Don't doubt it'll happen soon, like, you know. But I actually, you know, given that I actually lived in Dublin, never actually went to the Dáil. But anyway, Atheling is the name of the Parliament of which country? Round 4, question 3. King Philippe is the current reigning monarch of which European country? I think there's only roughly about a handful, about half a dozen constitutional monarchies in Europe. This is one of them. And King Philippe, current reigning monarch of which European country? Round 4, question 3. Round 4, question 4. Golda Meir was the first female Prime Minister of which country? And to date, it's only female Prime Minister. Served between 1963 and 1971, I think. A little bit after that, actually. But round 4, question 4. Golda Meir was the first female Prime Minister of which country? Round 4, question 5. Bit of a current affairs one, but which former cricketer was made Lord of Ravensworth in the county of North Yorkshire this week? He was controversially sworn in, actually after having heavily supported Boris Johnson's Brexit plans, and you know, bit of an odd one for to be appointed House of Lords. But anyway, round 4, question 5. Which former cricketer was made Lord of Ravensworth in the county of Yorkshire this week? And finally, round 4, question 6. The party. Which party is Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau the leader of? I'm just going to throw this out there. I have a massive man crush on this guy. He's just great. You know, he's been a very, very, very good Prime Minister. From what I've heard, from my Canadian friends who've told me, he's doing all right. He's quite popular, very, very intelligent. You should see the way Ivanka looks at him. You can tell Trump's really jealous of him because he's like, you know, it's more coherent. But anyway, round 4, question 6. Which party is Prime Minister of Canada's Justin Trudeau the leader of? The clue might be in the name if you don't know it, okay? So there's 4 options there. The clue might be in the name. Anyway, there's a roundup of politics and history questions. So who's the current Prime Minister of Australia? 2, the Atheling is the name of the Parliament of which country? 3, King Philippe is the current reigning monarch of which European country? 4, Golda Meir is the first female Prime Minister of which country? 5, which former cricketer was made Lord Ravensworth of the county of North Yorkshire? And 6, which party is Prime Minister of Canada Justin Trudeau the leader of? Alright, and that takes us right up to 8:30 by my watch, exactly halfway throughout the quiz. If you want to shout out at any point, do give us a message through all the different social media channels. The best way to do it is via Instagram or Facebook. I don't really look at Twitter that much. Again, it's one of those platforms which I open it up and it's just really bad energy. I know Instagram's a little bit softer, and Facebook is one thing, just looking at your friends' pictures of cats and stuff like that. But, you know, Twitter, I'm just leaving it alone. Anyway, enough about that. We're going to move on to the next round, because this one is going to be a little bit of a head scratcher for you guys to work out. So, round 5, and it's a sports round. However, this isn't so much about sports, this is about business, and we all know that sport is big business. Each year, Forbes magazine comes out with its top 40 wealthiest sports franchises / teams. I'm going to show you 6 of them, and all you have to do is put them in order from the top to the bottom in terms of wealth. Currently, this year. These are according to the 2020 figures, okay? So I'm going to show you the 6 sports teams on the screen right now. You have to put them in order. Very, very simply. So place the sports teams according to their wealth, starting with the highest and working your way down. So, the 6 sporting franchises there: Real Madrid, the Spanish football club, the only non-American one in the top 6, believe it or not. Golden State Warriors, NBA team, New York Knicks, and the LA Lakers, 2 other NBA teams. New York Yankees, boo, not a fan of the Yankees, got knocked out of the World Series this week, or knocked out of the ALCS, the American League Division Series. And the Dallas Cowboys, the only NFL franchise on this list. But if you think Real Madrid is the richest team in the world, put them at number 1. If you think Dallas Cowboys is number 2, put it at number 2 and work your way down. It's that simple. But yes, this list is very interesting, and it's also interesting. It's reflective of wealth in the sense that the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl since the 90s. The Yankees haven't been in a World Series since 2009, I think. The Knicks, they just suck. They're not even good. The Knicks haven't won a championship since the 70s. LA Lakers, of course, massive brand, obviously, because where they are with LA and Kobe Bryant. Magic Johnson was a big player for them. Magic and Kareem, amazing pairing up front. And the Golden State Warriors, recent championship winners there. So big players in the NBA. But yes, most of the teams All-American, and Real Madrid being the only one in the top 6 in terms of wealthiest sports franchises. Give you a bit of a clue, give you a bit of an idea. Manchester United are still up there in the top 10. Although they haven't won, a decent trophy since the last couple of years, since Fergie left, really. But we've got the Cowboys, the Yankees, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Warriors, and Real Madrid. I have to say, the Bernabeu, best stadium I've ever been in. And I was stopping through Madrid on the way back from my job in November, and I popped in to Madrid, and I went to see Galatasaray versus Real Madrid in the Champions League midweek, as you do. It has to be one of the greatest stadiums I've ever seen. A cathedral of football. Absolutely remarkable. I've got to get the other stadiums off the list. Madison Square Garden for the Knicks. I have a standing invitation to go to Yankee Stadium by a friend of mine in New York. Though I'd much rather see the Mets. But then I guess I have to go see the Yankees. Whitey Ford passed away there, Hall of Famer. And former Yankees player. But yes, those are your 6. If you put them in order, if you think Real Madrid's number 1, put it at number 1. Golden State Warriors number 2. That's it. I'm going to leave it up for another couple of minutes. See if I can pull any other factoids from my brain about these teams. The Knicks, actually, that name, the Knicks, comes from an area of New York, Knickerbocker. Knickerbocker Glories. That's what that is. That's what that's a lake. That's what that's a reference to. And the LA Lakers were actually the Minnesota Lakers, I believe, at one point, or the Minneapolis Lakers. And the franchise up and moved to LA. Now they're the LA Lakers. And this is one of those things. It's sad that it happens. You got a team that's there and they're there for years and years and years, and they're suddenly we're just gonna leave. like the Raiders did going to Las Vegas. And they had diehard fans. It's so sad. You're living in a city and you're supporting this team thick and thin. Suddenly they just go. You'd be furious. Anyway, one more minute on that. I'm looking at my watch here. Yeah, it's 25 to 8 now. I think we've done enough of that. So one more time, we'll just go through them one more time. Real Madrid, Golden State Warriors, the New York Knicks, Cowboys, the Yankees, the Lakers. Put them in order of which you think is the richest and work your way down. And I will tell you all at the very end of the quiz tonight. All right, so that is our sports round done and dusted. Anyway, no, like I said, sports is not a lot of people's forte, but you know, I will give you a clue about next week's sports round. It's all going to be about leagues. So yes, bone up on different leagues. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, this is it. We're going to move on. Big Nerd Pub Quiz on Harbourside Radio. We're going to move on to round number 6. And prepare for a massive dose of nostalgia here. Because round 6 is all about toys. Now, yes, a lot of people know I'm a massive toy collector myself. And a lot of these questions are actually related to fantastic Netflix series documentaries called The Toys That Made Us. If you haven't seen them, they're really, really worth a watch. So I was like telling the guys there this morning at brunch that this is definitely a series you should check out. It's really, really fascinating from just about business, really, and about how things become cultural phenomenons. But anyway, round 6, question number 1. So which toy company made the original line of Star Wars action figures? It was interesting because a lot of the major companies passed them up. They weren't interested. And George Lucas famously, when he signed for the rights of Star Wars, actually put it in the contract that he wanted the merchandise rights. So he made a butt ton of money off the sale of stuff, Star Wars stuff. But round 6, question 1, which toy company made the original line of Star Wars action figures? Round 6, question 2, Ruth Handler was the brainchild behind which toy phenomenon, which based on a German toy called Build Lily? And I actually don't think it was for kids. That's the other really weird thing. Again, another fascinating document. Some of the ones you wouldn't even think you would be interested in watching of these documentaries. They're actually just really, really, really interesting. Round 6, question 2. Ruth Handler was the brainchild behind which toy phenomenon based on a German toy called Build Lily? Round 6, question 3. Which country was Lego invented in? So Lego actually means play good, Lig Gott, which is the language for what it actually means. But if I tell you what language it is, I'd totally give it away. But anyway, which country was Lego invented in? Lig Gott. I'm a big collector of Lego, still got. In fact, you know what? It was actually one of those things that got me through the lockdown. Collected a fair bit of Lego and built a few Lego kits during those dark days a couple of months ago. Totally worth it. Round 6, question 4, and apologies if I can't pronounce this correctly, but Yuko Shimizu created which feline pop culture toy icon in 1974? Again, watch the documentary on this because it's so weird about how this kind of came about. But round 6, question 4. Yuko Shimizu created which feline pop culture toy icon in 1974? A clue there, probably in the name and feline bit. But yeah. Round 6, question 4. Round 6, question 5. Who's the leader of the Autobots in the world of Transformers? Again, weirdly, these toys came from, the toys came first. They were a Japanese toy. And an American advertising company came up with the names and just gave them a kind of weird backstory. Hence the Transformers movies and those terrible Michael Bay pictures. But round 6, question 5. Who's the leader of the Autobots in the world of Transformers? Maybe you'll know this if you've seen them. I've actually never watched them, just not interested. Anyway, next question. And your final question about toys. What animal was the subject of the comic book / action figure / cartoon phenomenon of the late 80s, early 90s, created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird? Fascinating. Yeah, again, really weird about how this became a thing. But round 6, question 6. What animal was the subject of the comic book action figure cartoon phenomenon in the late 80s, early 90s, created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird? And I can definitely tell you, I had a few of these action figures as a kid as well. My sister was obsessed, believe it or not. We were all obsessed. We all loved it. Round 6, question 6. And there's your roundup there. Round 6 there. So all about toys. Which toy company originally made the line of Star Wars action figures? 2. Ruth Handler was the brainchild behind which toy phenomenon in the 1950s, based on a German toy called Build Lily? 3. Which country is Lego from? 4. Yuko Shimizu created which feline pop culture toy icon in 1974? 5. Who's the leader of the Autobots in the world of Transformers? And 6. What animal was the subject of the comic book phenomenon of the late 1980s, created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird? Alright, yeah. I remember when we did the 80s quiz and the 90s quiz, we had a whole thing dedicated to 90s toys, and it was really, really cool. I'll absolutely do check that one out. Played it a couple of months ago, the Big Nerd 90s quiz and Big Nerd 80s quiz. We should do some more themed ones. And if you're looking for some more themed ones, do check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/BigNerdPubQuiz. For more kind of random quizzes. If you're into Friends and stuff like that, we got a Friends quiz in there too. Here's our next round, geography. We themed it this week. It's all about microstates. What's a microstate? I'm asking. Microstates are just really, really, really tiny countries. That's it. So the next 6 questions, all about those. Here we go. Round 7, question 1. What's the name of the microstate which is sandwiched between Spain and France in the Pyrenees Mountains? I've actually been skiing here before. It's rather picturesque. You've got to fly to Barcelona and drive up into it. There's no airport, I believe. It's quite dangerous, really. Round 7, question 1. What's the name of the microstate that is sandwiched between Spain and France in the Pyrenees Mountains? Round 7, question 2. Which microstate is recognized as the smallest sovereign state in the world? So basically, I'm looking for the world's smallest country. Round 7, question 2. So which microstate is recognized as the smallest sovereign state in the world, right? Smallest country in the world. That's all I'm asking. Round 7, question 2. And there's no ambiguousness about this. It's pretty small. I'm talking about area. Size, it's very, very tiny. Round 7, question 2. Let's move on. Round 7, question 3. Vaduz is the capital of which European microstate? Again, one of these ones sandwiched in between a couple of countries. Still got some kind of weird kind of monarch system as well. It's like a duchy or something like that. We'll give you a clue. They were playing last night against Gibraltar in the football, and Gibraltar actually won the game in the European League of League Cup, whatever it was. That boring international tournament that nobody cares about. Not the Euros, the other one. So Vaduz is the capital of which European microstate? Round 7, question 4. Which country is headed by a captained regent and is enclosed in the north and eastern side of the Apennine Mountains in Italy? It's one of only 3 countries in the world which is completely surrounded by another country. One of them, I think, is it Botswana or Lesotho? Someone let me know. Don't Google it, because that's cheating. I will tell you later on. I will look up later on. But which country is headed by a captain's regent? There's 2 of them, I believe, and is enclosed in the northeastern side of the Apennine Mountains in Italy. Claims to have the longest or the oldest democracy in the world, or one of the oldest functioning parliaments. Round 7, question 3. You shouldn't have used that image. That was from last week. I always do that. Round 7, question 5. In 1963, which city-state was expelled from the Federation with Malaysia? Former British colony was a part of this greater nation and then split away from them. Round 7, question 5 is one of the most densely populated ones. A lot of people live in this place. But round 7, question 5, in 1963, which city-state was expelled from the Federation with Malaysia? And your final question tonight, about geography and city-states. What's the name of the ruling royal house in Monaco? You're looking there, Monte Carlo, where the Grand Prix takes place. It's a nice spot, I have to say. I've been to Nice, travelled on the train over to see it. Went to a football match there, actually, as well. And you can drive about the actual course itself. But round 7, question 6. What's the name of the ruling royal house of the microstate of Monaco? Current king is Albert II, whose father was King Rainier. And mother was Grace Kelly, the Irish-American actress, famous for starring in Hitchcock films in the 1950s. Okay, there's your roundup of geography questions. What's the name of the microstate sandwiched between Spain and the Pyrenees? What state is recognized as the smallest country in the world? Vaduz is the capital city of which country? Which country is headed by Captain's Regent and is enclosed in the northeastern side of the Apennine Mountains? Which city-state was expelled from the Federation with Malaysia in 1963? What is the name of the ruling royal house of Monaco? Alright, so that is your penultimate round. We've got one more to go. Like I said, 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Now, interestingly enough, I actually don't have my phone with me, so I haven't been able to check any of the messages. I do have one or two up here. I will look and see if, at some point, if I can look at the Big Nerd Pub Quiz one, see if there's anyone in the inbox, but I can't seem to access it at the moment. It's like, it says here I've got 12 messages. I can't even open them up. Anyway, whoever you are, thank you for watching and tuning in. Big love. But anyway, we've got one more round to go. Don't forget, once I read out all the questions, you can hit submit. You will get your score, but do stick about to find out the answers. Okay, so moving on. Last round. It's fantasy authors. I'm going to be reading out the titles of 6 very famous books by very famous fantasy authors. All you have to do is match the author to the book. Seems simple enough? Let's have a go at it. So round 8, question 1. American Gods. Who wrote American Gods? I've basically put all 6 authors in there, so all you have to do is kind of work them out by process of elimination. If you don't know one, kind of sit down and work it out very quickly. But if you do, we're going to have a couple of minutes to go through this round. Round 8, question 1. I'm looking for the author of American Gods. Round 8, question 2, the Silmarillion. A lot of people would know this. Doubt anyone would have actually read it, unless you're like a uber nerd, and I haven't heard good things about it. It's quite long. Round 8, question 2, the Silmarillion. That's your second one there. Who wrote that? Round 8, question 3, his Dark Materials. Made into a BBC adaptation. Round 8, question 3, his Dark Materials. Round 8, question 4, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I'm looking for the author of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Eddie Jones there. Not Eddie Jones. Toby Jones? No. Oh, Eddie Marsden. Eddie Marsden. He's one of those fantastic actors. He's one of those British actors you see in everything. It's like, I know that guy. Round 8, question 5, Dune. Big hype about the new movie. However, it's not going to come out this year. It's going to come out next year. Been pushed back along with James Bond and all the other great movies. It's not going to be out in time at the cinema. But round 8, question 5, Dune. Originally made into a 1983 film. Kyle MacLachlan, Sting, directed by David Lynch. But who wrote Dune and the subsequent sequels? Many of them. Here comes your final question tonight. So heads up, here we go. Round 8, question 6, final question. The color of magic. Interesting factoid about this particular author. He's the most shoplifted author in the world, which I think is actually a rather remarkable and impressive feat. But round 8, question 6, the color of magic. Who wrote that? Maybe the artwork on the book there will give you a clue. There's your roundup of literature questions there. American Gods, The Silmarillion, His Dark Materials, Jonathan Strange, Mr. Norrell, Dune, and The Color of Magic. Okay, give you a couple of seconds to round up your answers. Hit submit. Don't go back. If you hit refresh on your answer sheet, you will lose all your answers. So yes, do bear that in mind. I really should say that at the start. But yes. We've gone through the quiz. That's it for tonight. Don't forget, some fantastic shows coming up this week on Harbourside Radio. Don't forget, tune in to my sample show on Wednesday. Going to be looking at the music and samples and works of A Tribe Called Quest, one of my favorite hip-hop artists. The rock show's on Saturday with Amy. Well worth a listen to. It's a fantastic program she does. Darryl with his musical show. The blues show. Big O's morning show every morning from 10. And the electric doubleheader every Friday. That's just a selection. We've got so many more shows. If you want to check them out, check them out on our website, harboursideradio.com. Hopefully we're getting our DAB and digital license and all coming up, hopefully, and we'll be on FM. If you want to advertise with us, by all means, get in touch. info@harboursideradio.com is the one to get in touch with us. We will produce some fantastic drone footage. As you can see, all this, we can make this for you. See this? See all this drone footage of wonderful Warren Point? This was us. And like I said, another kind of great idea. We are currently working on a proposal called Harbourside Live, which is going to allow us to bring music to bars and pubs and clubs all around the country or wherever you are, because we know that the music industry is really suffering at the moment, as is the hospitality industry and the trade. We've got a solution, and basically we're going to host live bands here from our studio, all socially distanced, and be bringing them to pubs whilst maintaining that social distance. It works for both band and bar. Hopefully it's going to take off in the next couple of weeks. It's called Harbourside Live, and we're really looking forward to test it out. We've got these fantastic GoPro cameras and stuff like that. We've got a whole multi-rig in the room next door to me here. I'm really, really looking forward to get that off the ground. So anyway, let's move on to the answers of today's quiz. Let's see how did you get on. All right. So, round 1, question 1. We all know it's Borat that's coming back. Eddie Van Halen played the solo on the Michael Jackson track Beat It. The World Food Programme won the Nobel Peace Prize this year. Andy Burnham is the Mayor of Manchester. Mary Berry won the Damehood, or was awarded a Damehood this year. And Live Around the World was the album by Queen. Motown is from Detroit. Parlophone were the original album that signed the Beatles, believe it or not. Swan Song Records was the record label set up by Led Zeppelin. Sun Records were the ones that snapped up Eric Presley. Elvis Presley. Eric was his brother. No, he wasn't. Trojan Records was the famous label in Croydon. And Factory Records, set up by Tony Wilson in '79. Bottom set in Hammersmith. Bill Bailey's character is called Manny. Danny John Jules plays the cat. Also plays Barrington in the fantastic Maid Marian and Merry Men. If you haven't watched that as a kid, you missed out. Bouncing Back is the name of Alan Partridge's book, which gets pulped. Armando Iannucci, writer of The Thick of It and Veep. And finally, Monk's Cafe is the name of the cafe. The actual cafe is called Tom's Cafe in real life. It's known as Monk's in the TV show. Scott Morrison is the current Prime Minister of Australia. Iceland is where the home of the Atheling Parliament. Philippe is the King of Belgium. Golda Meir, first female Prime Minister of Israel. Ian Beefy Botham was now a Lord. I never thought I'd ever say that in a sentence. And Justin Trudeau is a member of the Liberal Party. So in order of the actual richest clubs going all the way down, according to Forbes, the richest club at the moment, the richest sports franchise, is the Dallas Cowboys, followed by the Yankees, the Knicks, the Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and then Real Madrid. Manchester United are coming in 10th there, but yes, those are the top 6 richest sports franchises of 2020. Your toys round. Kenner were the original manufacturers of the Star Wars action figures. Barbie was the creation by Ruth Handler. Legos from Denmark. Hello Kitty was the answer I was looking for the design from the Japanese toy company. Again, check out that documentary. It's fantastic. Optimus Prime is the leader of the Autobots. And Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Or as they were called in Britain, I remember this, in Britain and Ireland they were called the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because people just thought ninja would cause kids to kick the faces off each other. Your capitals and microstates there. Andorra is the country sandwiched in the Pyrenees. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. Straight up. Vaduz is the capital of Liechtenstein. San Marino is in the northeastern corner of Italy. Singapore, the city-state expelled from Malaysia in 1963. And Grimaldi, it's the House of Grimaldi which are in charge of running things in Monaco. And your final questions there. So Neil Gaiman, J.R.R. Tolkien, Philip Pullman, Susanna Clarke, Frank Herbert, and Terry Pratchett, all writing American Gods, The Silmarillion, Dark Materials, Jonathan Strange, Dune, and The Color of Magic. Joining me. See you all next week, Sunday the 18th of October, 8 p.m. on Harbourside on Facebook, on YouTube. I'll see you all again next week. Stay safe and have a good week. Good night.